5 years ago, I did some work experience at Highclere Castle, the real Downton Abbey, and I thought it would be fun to build it in Minecraft, so here we go. Of course, I will talk more about my amazing experience there later, but for now, let's just get straight into it. I started with the main door. Now, the way I'm doing this build is I'm doing one half, and then I'm going to flip it, and then the same for like all the sides, I'm going to flip it, but again, more on that later. The windows were actually really tricky to get, because I didn't want to make it a massive scale, but I kind of had to like make it a small scale. I don't really know how to explain it, but basically the shape of the windows was very tricky. I settled on putting trapdoors in between, and it actually worked quite well to separate the windows. Now, this build is not 100% accurate to the real Highclere Castle, or again Downton Abbey, but I mean, I think I got it pretty close. I'm very proud of this build. Now, because it's like 100 and something year old stone, it was very difficult to get like the gradients in about 3.5 blocks of space, or 4 blocks, but I think I was able to do it quite well. I started lighter on the bottom and got darker at the top, but then the second layer is again lighter on the bottom and it gets darker at the top. For the sandstone, I thought it was quite a good next gradient block for the stripped birchwood, but it was just kind of a bit too harsh, so I put some birch signs on it and it actually blends quite well. Now, the decoration above the door, very tricky because it's on such a small scale. Now, the real castle has the date above the door of when the castle was built, but I can't put that here because that would be a lot of armor stand work. So instead, I just kind of went for my own design, made a little bit of like a cool inset design. I ended up making it shorter because it was too tall, and for that I just used Axiom to select the area and then move it down. Also, there's a lantern in the doorway, but because I have 2 blocks, I can't put a lantern in the middle, so I used an armor stand, and then of course I flipped that to the other side just to see how it looked. And then I started building the next layers, and I actually added some darker spots because the very top layer is a slightly different color to the rest of it. I thought it would be quite cool to have some of that coming through, so I had some darker spots, some lighter spots and all that stuff. Now, here is my first story from when I did work experience. Now, I won't be telling you how I got this work experience because I really don't want them to be like, I don't want them to have like an influx of people asking, you know? But basically, I grew up 20 minutes from the castle, so it was a very easy trip, and I was 15. It was crazy. It was an amazing experience. They were actually filming the second film when I went there, so that was amazing. I got to see like loads of behind the scenes stuff about how they filmed it and stuff, and I'm a filmmaker, so it was really interesting. And on one of the days, we actually did have a film crew come in to film with Lady Carnarvon, who obviously, if you've seen Downton Abbey, she's essentially Lady Grantham. She's just the real Lady Grantham. She's Lady Carnarvon. She's married to Lord Carnarvon, but Carnarvon is just a title. Their surname is Herbert. Now, she was really nice. She took me flower picking with her dogs. It was fantastic. It was actually an amazing experience. But yeah, when we had this crew come in, we had a Polish crew, and they were basically filming an interview with Lady Carnarvon and at the time, the current Polish ambassador's wife. And while they were having this conversation, because this was the first day in the season that the castle was closed to the public because it was September, they were mowing the lawn, but the microphones were picking it up. So my job was to sit on the windowsill and hold closed this 150-year-old window. It was very scary. I thought I was going to break it, but I didn't, so it was all good. I also had the job of making sure that the film crew didn't wander around the house on their own, because people like to steal from this house, which is disgusting. If you do that, you're a horrible person. Now, at the top, for like the spikes and stuff, I actually had a resource pack for fences just to make them look a bit more cool. Although I'm sure if you took it off, it would still look cool. It just wouldn't quite look the same. And I just put, I think, dark oak and spruce fences around, and they look really cool. And I used some candles as well, some brown candles, to just make them a little bit more pointy and a little bit higher, just to be a bit, you know, spiky. And as I said, the top layer is a very slightly different color. I went for copper, like exposed copper and granite. I think that was a very nice gradient. And you may have noticed that I'm using some different blocks that aren't vanilla. The mods that I use for the blocks will be in the description. It's of course the pyrite building blocks and dies, and also the chisel. Is it reborn, unbound, rebound? Something like that. Either way, it'll be in the description. Once I'd pasted everything to make a big square, I then removed all the doors from the sides and started making like the side parts, if you will. Now, the actual sides are different from the front, and on one of the sides it is actually hidden by like trees and stuff. This is when you're walking up to it, the far right side. And in real life, they have like external newer buildings put out there, like, you know, made of brick and stuff. There's like a little courtyard. I didn't add that because it's not in Downton Abbey, and this build is Downton, even though it's obviously based on the real castle. So I just kept it the same. And basically on the side, they have these like separate towers, and they have these like archway things. I'm not entirely sure what they are, but they're very nice, so I added those. For the roof slash ceiling, I just made it glass for now because there are glass roofs, and I didn't know where my rooms were going, so I didn't want to do anything extravagant, but I made the glass roof, made it a bit more interesting than just like a plain sheet of connected textures glass. I used some framed glass, and again, that's just kind of like a base. And then after that, I did the big tower. Now, if you look head on at the house, the tower isn't actually central because the saloon is central, or in Downton Abbey they call it the Grand Hall. So I put that very slightly on the side, but of course when you look at it at a diagonal, it does actually look like it's in the center. And the flag, oh my god, I wanted to rage quit with the flag, because for the banner on the flag, which by the way, the flag is actually accurate to how it is in real life. The red and the blue represent like bravery and strength and all that stuff. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I remember Lady Carnarvon telling me about it. And also actually, Highclere gin, their gin bottle is a square, and it's purple because it's the colours of the flag, and it's square to mimic the house. Now the house is square because it was designed by Sir Charles Barry in the 1800s, who also designed the Houses of Parliament in London. But yeah, this flag, the banner, oh my god, the armour stand kept breaking. I kept accidentally breaking it. It was ridiculous. I went through about like 10 banners and I had to keep crafting them each time. It was awful, but we got there in the end. And then I did like the gravel bit on the outside. Of course, in real life, the colour is a bit more yellow, but I wanted the building to stand out, so I did gravel. I did a mix of normal gravel, suspicious gravel, and nostalgia gravel from the Pyrite mod. And then I did the little podium things. They're not in the real castle, they are Downton exclusive, and of course my ones aren't perfect, but I just kind of wanted to give the idea of them. And then the shelves. I painstakingly went round the whole build, right-clicking all of the shelves, because with the Axiom mod, when you right-click certain blocks, it's kind of acts like the debug stick. So if you right-click a shelf, this is in creative of course, if you right-click a shelf, it makes the shelf the texture that it would be if you powered it with redstone, which is of course, it's no longer the 3 individual things, it's like the one long thing you'll see later. And now for the interior. Very, very exciting. I started with the Grand Hall and basically slowly worked my way up to the gallery. There isn't much to say about this, and I do talk about it a little bit later in the walkthrough, but basically I just used reference photos from Highclere and from Downton. I also actually, for the carpet, not like the massive red carpet, but there's like a little strip of carpet you'll see. I downloaded a resource pack for like actual carpet blocks. It's very, very cool. I remember before I started my work experience, I was invited to the castle to basically have like a tour of it from the castle manager, and he was taking me around the castle, and it was open to the public that day, and we were just walking through all these restricted areas. So that is basically cordoned off by like a red rope, but we were just like stepping over the rope and going through and stuff, because obviously there's lots of people and we needed to get places. It was really cool. I also was allowed to go to restricted areas of the castle. It was absolutely amazing. So I went to like the residential quarters and stuff, and Lord and Lady Carnarvon, when the castle is open to the public, they actually live in a separate house, a little cottage on the estate, just like a minute's walk from the castle. Very, very nice little cottage. At the time they were actually building a swimming pool, and there are lots and lots of horses. The current Earl of Carnarvon, or Lord Carnarvon, is the 8th Earl, and the 7th Earl, I'm pretty sure it was the 7th Earl, so his dad, he really liked horses. So the estate is filled with horses, and their cottage overlooks rolling hills with horses and all this stuff. It was such a pretty area. It's so nice. I think they own about 5,000 acres of land. I think that's how big the estate is. It's massive. Now I have a little bit of time to kill, and I didn't record enough audio, so I've come in here to tell you about the Egyptian exhibition. I do mention that a little bit later in the walkthrough. Basically, the 5th Earl of Carnarvon is actually the man who led the expedition to find the tomb of Tutankhamen. It was actually his family and his crew who got the curse. Of course, now we know the curse was actually most likely malaria, because we now know that King Tut died of malaria at 19 years old, or rather, that is the current most credible theory. So it looks like the curse was literally just nasty bout of malaria. Now, because of this, so many Egyptian artifacts have actually remained in the castle. It's really incredible. In the basement, kind of basement area-ish thing, they've recreated what Tutankhamun's tomb looked like, and they've got loads of artifacts, and they have a replica of his mummy, and it actually used to be the real one, but now the real one is in the British Museum in London, although in my opinion it should be in Egypt, you know, where it belongs. Nonetheless, very amazing to look at. And actually, in the library, if you go through that door, there is a music room, and then if you go through the next door, there is the smoking room, and between the music room and the smoking room, the doors, there are like two little doors, and there's like a vestibule bit. I don't really know how else to explain it, but there are like cabinets in between the doors. Most of the artifacts, the Egyptian artifacts, were taken to the British Museum, right? Well, the ones that remained were actually lost for about 60 years. It was really truly incredible. So the 5th Earl of Carnarvon had actually put loads of artifacts in these little cupboards in between these doors, but the cupboards had remained shut for years, for decades, until I believe it was the 7th Earl opened the cupboards and just happened to find these thousands of year old artifacts. If you ever go to Highclere Castle, I definitely recommend paying that little bit extra to go to the Egyptian exhibition if you can, because it's really cool to look at, and it kind of tells like the story of how they found it, and it tells the legend of the curse and all that stuff. It really is interesting. And you know, Howard Carter and his gang, funded by the Earl of Carnarvon, the 5th Earl, which is crazy. And they do actually very slightly reference this in Downton Abbey. They obviously don't talk about specifically, oh, we found his tomb, but there are multiple mentions of ancient Egyptian like things and stuff. It's very cool. The writer of Downton wrote Downton Abbey with Highclere Castle in mind, so there is actually a lot of the history in the show, which is really cool, and it adds that bit of realism and immersion. Now, the roof of the Grand Hall and the gallery is actually glass, but that was really tricky to do for me, so I basically did a fake sky, and you'll see later I talk about it a bit more, but it kind of goes up into a point and there's the glass roof. I did add the point later because I forgot to add it at the time. I made a flat roof and I wondered why it looked a bit wrong, and then I realised why it looked wrong, and then after that I did the library. In the library, there is actually a door that is painted to look like a bookshelf, so it kind of just fits in when it's closed. It's very cool. In real life, that door goes to the music room. Now, the music room is not featured in Downton. I talk about that a bit later in the walkthrough as well, but all of these doors that I've added basically just go into black concrete. If you would like to see me add more interior to this, please let me know and I'll do a second video. Now I'm gonna give you a cool little montage of the castle, and then I'll get back to you with a walkthrough and basically an in-person commentary of what is going on. Excuse the rubbish audio. Just a quick reminder here that you can become a channel member. Channel members receive exclusive perks. These perks include chat badges, your own special emoji, and also your own exclusive series, which is so fun in my opinion. This exclusive series may change every few months, I'm not entirely sure. I have an idea for the first one, maybe there'll be a different idea for the next one, or we'll just keep it going. I think you should become a channel member because you get all of these amazing perks for just $1.99 a month. You also get exclusive videos, early access to videos, exclusive shorts, all that really fun stuff, and I will let you continue with this video. And here we have it, Downton Abbey or Highclere Castle. This is very exciting. I do really like this build. Should we put some shaders on? Doesn't that look nice? This lantern doesn't provide any actual light, but I mean, it looks really nice. You can see like peaks of stuff through the windows. I also, for things like this, I put a bunch of, not there, but I put a bunch of banners so that the windows didn't, you know, because you can see like this through it, and I didn't think it looked very good. And when they filmed Downton Abbey, they do actually go and put a bunch of black things over the windows so you can't see inside, because it just makes it look a bit better. But yeah, I mean this is cool. I'll keep shaders on for now, but I will of course show you a non-shaders walkthrough because I actually think it looks better. So in here, I did this bit from memory. This isn't actually like a seat or anything in real life, but I didn't really want to build the little wyverns that they have, because for the Herbert family, Lord and Lady Carnarvon, wyverns are like a family symbol of power and bravery and strength for them. So the whole castle or house has lots of them, and there are some on the outside actually. Of course, if we turn left, we have the library. So we have the little library here, but it doesn't have any books. And here we go. Here's the library. I didn't realize that glows. That's strange. I suppose it is a torch flower. I used armor stand mod for these chairs and these things on the desk because I just thought it looked a bit better than having it being placed. Very good use of the dragon egg, by the way. Here we have the chain they pull when they want the servants to come up and, you know, do something, give them tea or whatever. Here we have a secret door. Now I did put books in this, but it just looked a bit odd, like it didn't look very good. But in real life, this door goes to the music room. That's not seen in Downton Abbey. That room is not used in Downton Abbey. And in here, it doesn't go to anything, but does have a bit of light. So there's quite a lot of hidden light in this build because it's very difficult to put light, you know, visible light here. That's why I have a lamp. I did have a standing lamp because it does have a few standing lamps, but I just couldn't get a nice design, so I went with this. This is a carpet resource pack, by the way. Through here, we have the Grand Hall, or the Saloon. In the real Highclere Castle, it is called the Saloon, and it does have like a glass roof, and I wanted to replicate that because obviously I couldn't go straight through because it just looked a bit rubbish with this. Also, I had to move it up because there just wasn't space. Although, could I get rid of... No, I can't get rid of that top block. Never mind. Now, this wall and like here, the floor in here, and in there and stuff. This is in the chisel mod, but it's connected via connected textures. So it's just a stroke of luck really that this has like an archway like the real doors and stuff like that. And I mean this wallpaper is almost perfect. I think I remember Lady Carnarvon telling me it was leather from an eastern country. I think I may have got that wrong, but she was telling me how it's basically the same stuff that they have in like all the old mosques, which is really cool. Through here is a door. This goes to, in real life, this goes to like a different staircase, I'm pretty sure. But in here, it just has a bit of light and black concrete. And then here we have the servants' door. Is actually green. Again, more light and black concrete. This goes down. In Downton Abbey, the staircase takes you down to the kitchen, but in real life, it actually, see here is where the dining room is, they actually link up. There's another door around there, and it actually takes you down to the Egyptian exhibition. If we come up Lady Mary's stairs, we've got this painting here. In real life, the painting that's here is actually the butler's favourite painting. Also have some light behind this painting. And up here we have the gallery. Now, I didn't make any bedrooms, but of course, if you would like to see me make bedrooms, comment down below. Maybe I'll make another video on this build because this has been so much fun. Just have some more light sources and paintings and stuff. These are actually birch fence gates. I don't know if I showed that, but again, black concrete, of course. Now, this painting here in real life, I am fairly certain it's the 4th Earl of Carnarvon, the one who actually commissioned this castle or house to be built. Again, don't quote me. It was a very long time ago that I did my work experience, so I think I've definitely probably told some lies in this video. But I mean, for the most part, you know, you get the vibe. It is one of the Earls. I think it is the 4th. I don't know. Got some gold bars. Flex their wealth in case this house wasn't flexing it enough. Honestly, I love this room. I absolutely love this room. Do you want to see it with shaders? Yeah, you want to see it with shaders. Doesn't the sky look cool? These blocks here, this star concrete, that actually glows because it's made with a nether star. To get the dye for it, you have to craft it out of a nether star, which is crazy. So glad I'm in creative. But yeah, I love this build so much. Let's come up here and look down. Look at this. Look at this. I want to build this in survival and have it as my base because it's so cool. And of course, there are so many other rooms. Why aren't that closed? There are so many other rooms that I could have built, but I just wanted to build the main ones. Maybe I could build Lord and Lady Grantham's bedroom, maybe Lady Mary's bedroom. Here we have family crests. Now, they're all the same in this build, but in real life they're all different because they're basically half of one family's crest and then half of another. So on the left side, I'm pretty sure it's the left side, you have the Carnarvon family crest, or the Herbert family crest. And then on the right hand side, you have the family crest of whomever they marry. So that's a very cool little detail. Thank you very much for watching this video. I've had so much fun building this. And let me know if you like the build. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hype points, all that good stuff. And I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.